Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be putting together another RGB Christmas tree that I bought from Banggood. This here doesn't have any instructions on how to set it up. It does have a schematic though for the top of the tree, but not the bottom. So we're gonna have to figure this out. So I'm not really sure how to put this thing together completely yet, but I'm gonna have a look at the PCB boards here and the components and go from there. It does look like there's some markings on here that will be very helpful, so we will see what we can do there. I do want to have a look at Banggood's website. This is where I purchased it from, right here. And as you can see, it says, please refer to the schematic because there's no instructions whatsoever on this. So let's have a look. I will be going off of these images here to kind of figure out exactly how this thing goes together. As you can see, it doesn't look to be too hard. My concern with this, though, is the springs rubbing up against the copper plate down here where it'll wear it out. But I have no idea on that. But yeah, we do have some images here to kind of get a rough idea. Now here's the schematic right here that I will be going off of. So the first thing to do is pull everything out and just separate everything. I've laid everything out here, tested everything. We have 100s here for resistors, 47K resistors, 30K, one of them, 100K here. We have different transistors here. We have, what is this? These are 91.4s, and there's a couple of different ones here. So everything is grouped up. We got electrolytic capacitors here. We got blue LEDs. These are RGB LEDs. One of them actually died. So it's always good to test your LED lights too, because I seem to find dead ones in these packs. But we were pretty dangerously close on the amount that I needed here. So these are the two boards right up here. As you can see, they are a little bit different. I'm going to go off the top LED right here, show what board is what. But I'm going to start off with the resistors here. So we're going to do hundreds first. So this board here, we need 100 right here. As you can see, it says 100. That's R7. There is no direction on these. You can just put them in any old way. Same thing here. There's 100, 100, 100. I don't see any others, but if you do, just make sure that you put it in there. There's 100 here, here, one there, and yeah, that's it for that board. So let's put in those 100 resistors here first. All right, so the hundreds are now done. There's 4 on this one. I don't seem to find 4 on here. So next ones we're gonna do is, I guess, the 47K. There's 47 here. There's one there. I don't seem to find any others there. There's one here, here. So yeah, if you see any others, just put them on as well. So again, these are resistors. There's no direction. Okay, so the resistors are now done. The 47, we got one here, 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 and here. So there was 3 on each board. I don't seem to find any others. So we are going to work with the LEDs now, and this part I am kind of confused because the fact what they wrote up here at the top, they have a negative here and a positive here, but this little arrow pointing that direction means this side is the anode and then this side is the cathode. So this is supposed to be the positive end, and that's supposed to be the negative end on this side. So current is supposed to flow that way. And they wrote negative here and positive here. So what? That's kind of confusing to me. So you would think that the positive lead would go here and then the negative lead. So that's the long lead here is the positive end, and the shorter one is the negative. So you think the positive would go here, right? And this bottom hole, and the shorter one would go at the top. I am going to go with the long lead at the bottom all the way up, because that's technically how the anode and cathode flow. If I'm going to stop this video right now to tell you that I did it wrong, make sure that you do flip them the other way. But if so, yes, I am stopping the video, but I'm not stopping because I was wrong. My suspicion was correct. the very bottom one will be the longest lead. That's the positive, and the top one will be the shortest negative lead. So do that to the right hand side all the way straight up, and the same thing on the left hand side going straight up. Now I will sound a little bit bummed out in the video because I wasn't really sure whether it was screwed up or not, but I will be putting a little bit of blame on the top where it says the positive and the negative. Later on in the video, the positive and the negative is in the correct position of the top LED. However, the anode and cathode symbol there is flipped the wrong direction. If I didn't stop you yet, then you know that I put them in right. So that's the way I'm going to put them in. I'm not going to snip off the leads because I don't know yet. I may actually have to desolder them and then resolder them into a different position of the boards. Since I'm concerned about these LED lights, I'm just going to do this board first. So I only put solder on just every single lead like that, but not on the negative side of the LED light. I left that alone for now. See, I sound bummed out. It's actually quite entertaining having to watch this while I'm editing it. They are right. They're all correct. No need to worry about it. In this case, I do need to pull them out. I'll just try to push the leads closer. That way they can make somewhat of contact. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is the 9014 transistor here. Okay, so for the transistors, there is a direction here. As you can see, one side's flat and the other side is round, and you can see that right here. So the flat side faces the flat end, and they don't have to go all the way down. As you can see, that's exactly how it should go. Flat side there, and round on the bottom. And yeah, just make sure it says 9014 on it. It says there in small little writing right in the inside there on the flat end. So the transistors are in here, the 9014s. There's 3 of them here. So we are going to do the electrolytic capacitors. There's one that goes here, 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 and here. And if you could see that white scribbly mark right there, that is the negative side. And you can actually see that on the capacitor as well. As you can see that right there. There's the negative end, so make sure that faces there. Negative, the white line, this side looks to be the white line as well, and white line here. All right, this will tell me if I'm right or not. I really hope I am, because it just makes sense that the anode would be at the bottom and the cathode would be at the top. So let's raise the voltage on my bench power supply. Yeah, well, there's some lights. Let me turn this thing off real quick. There you go. So they are working. Obviously this one isn't because it's not soldered in properly, as you can see. Okay, so now since I'm satisfied with this one right here, I've already chopped out the leads, everything looks good, and it's fully complete. I can move on to this one now and put the LED lights in here. The long lead at the bottom, as that is the anode, and the top is the cathode. And same thing as before, just bend them over and just work your way up. Long lead here, 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 here. The very bottom one's all the way up. So positive here, positive here, positive, 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 and tops are negative, right? So just do that. And we'll continue on to the transistors and capacitors after that. All right, so the LED lights are now in. I left the top one out for now. I'm going to put the 9014 transistors in now. So there's one right here, then here, and again, I see flat side and round end. Same thing goes with the transistors, so make sure that they are the 9014s. Okay, so now the transistors are in, all 3 of them. We are going to work with the capacitors. I'm going to bend one of these down, and then one of them are going to be sitting straight up. There's another one that goes here, and as you see, they're the same electrolytic capacitor. So yeah, one here, which is going to hang straight down. This one's going to be sitting straight up, and as you can see, there is a direction, just like the other one. It looks to be more white here, so that's the negative side. Negative here at the top, negative right here on this side. So put them in. All right, so this one is now together, and as you can see, it's working. You see the LED lights flashing. So that's a plus. Now I got to figure out exactly what to do next. I think I want to do the bottom here. and then kind of figure out how to put it all together. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to be doing this bottom board next. See the variable resistor that goes here. Transistor here, that's the 850. There's another one here. So those are the two there. And here's where the ceramic capacitor goes. Resistor 47K here. Capacitor here. Resistors here. There's that little piezo speaker that goes here. And the F is with this. Music. Why would they label that as music? I'm guessing that's the other transistor because that looks to be a transistor mark here. So that's probably the what is it? The BJ1552 that goes there. And obviously the motor. Right here would be the barrel jack. And then the LED lights there, which will be soldered on that side. Okay, so I think we'll do the resistors first. So yeah, just do these resistors next. So 47s, 3 here, 100K here, 30K there. All right, do those first. All right, now since the resistors are in here, we're going to put in the IC socket. And if you take a look at that right there in the middle and where it dips, you'll see that same dip on the IC socket right there on that side. And we are going to match it up and put it in here like so. You can see they both match up, and just solder that into place. So what I'm going to do now is put in this variable resistor, this little fella right here, and it goes right there. As you can see, you'll see one middle pin and two on the side. It only goes in one way, so just put it on in there, and it only goes so far, and that's where it stops. And just solder that in place. All right, now since those are all in there, we are going to put in this thing. Hopefully it's not going to be super annoying. Okay, well, I'm going to stop the video here just to say, yes, it becomes very annoying, and I want you to hear it for yourself so you can decide whether you want to solder it into place or not. So listen up. So here's the tree. I'm going to put this piezo speaker back in. I'm just going to push it in there. Okay, now I'm going to plug it in. And now get ready for near rape. You want to know how to solve this issue? Don't put that in. Just keep it out. Perfect. Now you see why I gave you the option to put it in or not. It is very annoying. I'm keeping mine out personally because that's just an annoying 15-second loop. And that's all it is a 15-second loop that just bleeds your ears. It's so loud. But I'm going to show you how to install it. And if you don't want to install it, just skip ahead a little bit. But as you can see, there's a positive mark right there. And you can actually see it on the PCB on the back here, right there. And if we have a look right here, you can see that's the positive side. But yeah, just solder that into place now. All right, so what we're going to put in next is the 8050 transistor here, and same thing on this side. And there's only two of them, so make sure that you put them in. You know what direction they're going by now, right? Flat end right here, round end there. So the last transistor is the BJ1552. That apparently goes in music. I really don't know why they put music there. And that's the only place I could see that would go. I don't see any other place it would ever go. That is in. We are going to put in one of these electrolytic capacitors in here. As you can see, that's where the negative side goes. Right here. And the positive, like so. Now, since that is all done here, all that too, we are going to put in the barrel jack right here. That's this fella right here. Stick it on in there and solder that. Okay, now since the barrel jack is in there, we are going to deal with the LEDs. So that's the bigger blue ones. As you can see right here, the cathode is right here, and the anode is right here. So this is the positive side and negative right here. I'm going off of this. I don't trust their positive and negatives, but it seems to be correct here. So that would be the long lead is the positive side. As you can see, that'd be the anode, and the negative is the cathode. Put it on in there like that, and do it all the way around. So the LED lights are now in. What I could do now is put the ceramic capacitor on, which goes right here. And this one here doesn't have a direction. You can put it in any way that you want. Yeah, just like so. Just put it in, solder it, and call it good. Let's put in the IC. So you remember putting in the mark here in the middle, right? You see that little curve right there, right? You'll see that same curve on the IC right there. Make sure it goes in that direction. So curve here, curve right there. Well, from looking at the pictures, I guess I could put these legs on here first. So they just go on like this. See all that right here faces straight down. And we use little screws. Slip it on like that. And that's how it's going to sit. Well, I guess the next part would be this little thing down here and the two trees. So we will slide these things together and then put it on that. So let's slide it together. And it looks like it's going to collide there, so let's flip it the other way. Yeah, it looks like it's going to work just fine this direction. Seems like it's pretty flat now, standing up on its own. So we are going to put solder on all these pads right here, all the way around. But we're going to keep this thing flush with the table. That way this is nice and smooth. We don't have to put anything on this side, just in here. The motor goes on, obviously one direction here. It doesn't seem to work the other way, so, you know, like that, right? And I guess we got to use long screws for this because we got to go through that plastic like that. And then the nut. Another one. And a nut for that as well. Okay, and I'm only going to snug this up. I'm not going to make it really tight. And now, screws, and then nut on that as well. Grab another screw, and then the nut for that. These might be a little too long. So those two screws that I put in are a little bit long because of the fact it's going to end up scraping across the bottom of the pad there. So what I did is I grabbed myself a washer just to put a little bit of a gap in between the screws and that plate. So I'm out in my shed seeing if I can find a small washer here. Washer's here. Oh, that looks to be a tiny one right there. Is that small enough for this little fella? Oh yeah, that should do it just fine. Cool. If not, like I said, you could just file down the screw a little bit using a vise and a file. As you can see, I do a lot of that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put 4 of these on, and we're going to grab little screws here. Put the screw here, on like that. That way it looks like that. Do that to all of them. Okay. Screw on here. And then the washer. And then onto here. Oh crap. Washer came off. Yeah. Looks like the springs are gonna rub just fine. Well, it looks a lot straighter now, which is good. So I'm just gonna tighten this up. And now we can put the screws on this and then tighten it as well. Before I do that, maybe I should put these wires in this motor. So obviously plus is red and black is negative from the little motor. So I'm just going to snip some of this off and then solder that into place. Okay, so I just used a little bit of masking tape just to kind of keep the wires down. I could have used a zip tie that was long enough to go around, but nope, I don't have one long enough that's really small. So that's going to have to do for now. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, the screws are there. Now we can put this on and screw it down as well. So there is some matches here. We got one that says ground and one that says VCC. So just follow that on here. It says VCC and ground. Seems to only go one direction anyway, so you can't screw that up. Okay, so it seems to be all put together. And it looks like the springs should be fine. As you can see that there's a gap in between the screw and the silver pad. So the spring is the only thing that's scraping along the pad. However, I really don't like the idea of the spring scraping across that because I can see that eventually wearing out. I'm thinking maybe something like a thumbtack that has a nice smooth surface that may actually help in the future. But I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking of some type of idea to actually put there. So I'm not really using the tree until I figure that out. So I'm going to wrap this cord here. Okay, before I continue anything, I haven't put the LED light up here yet. Remember that. So let's see how annoying this is. Oh boy, that was loud. Ooh, I'm going to mute you. Ooh, that's extremely loud. So yes, this is where I found out that it was extremely loud, and surprisingly, you were able to hear that through RTX voice. All of this software isn't that great for voice blocking, but you were still able to hear it through there. I'm gonna take off RTX voice, and you gotta hear this. I'm gonna try to block this as best as I can. It's really, really, really loud. And plug it in. Damn. You know what? I'm just going to let you quickly hear it. I'm only going to put it on for a couple seconds. It's that loud. Okay. So what I did is I grabbed a 103 variable resistor and I pulled out the piezo speaker. So it's right there. So now I can control the volume on it, which was just really ridiculous. But let's turn this thing on and show it to you. So this is what it looks like. Turns quite nicely. Very bright. And I can control that ear raping sound. As you can hear. Alright, now it's time for the top LED. And I'm kind of guessing they didn't screw this up. Maybe I didn't look at the lines, the rails here. I should have, but this might actually be correct. Let me try it that way. So long lead in the positive and the smaller lead in the negative. I'm just gonna leave it like that for a second. I want to see it. Oh, lights up. Okay, so I guess their diode direction is wrong. So we're just going to bend this up, put solder on that as well. So I did get a few extras out of this kit. Another little piece right here. You got some screws over here, some LEDs here. Same thing with that. It's a capacitor, transistor, which is a 9014, which seems to be one of the most popular ones I seem to run across all the time. That piezo speaker. I keep pulling these things out of these little projects because they're so loud and annoying. So I did the same with that. However, I'm thinking about modifying it somehow where I'm going to have this 103 resistor in here. That way I can deal with the volume, where I can turn it up or lower it and whatnot. But that thing doesn't seem to cycle different songs. It just plays for like 15 seconds or so and then reloops. So that's very annoying to even have this thing in. I might as well just keep it out altogether. It's been over a couple of weeks now. I wanted to run this thing pretty much every single day just to see if it's going to wear out or whatnot, to see if this thing's even worth getting. And I can definitely tell you that it has been having some issues with connecting. Some of the lights will just dim out, and it is very annoying. Listen up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart. I actually want to see how much damage these springs have actually been doing to the bottom of this plate here. And I'm thinking using something like a thumbtack would actually probably help that, where it will reduce the drag and scraping across the bottom. But I want to actually see how bad it really is. So let's take this thing apart. Alright, let's take this off. There's a bit of scraping on here. Have a look. So you can see it is wearing it out, but not as bad as I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than that. But yeah, I can see this not lasting forever, so I definitely wouldn't really recommend this tree. But if you want to just solder it together and call it good, then go for it. I personally would rather you just buy one of these. These are a lot better. And they'll last you for probably pretty much ever. But there's got to be some other way to do this. I'm thinking, yeah, a thumbtack as an example. Just like a really small one to put over the spring itself. That way this is not the spring, like that little tiny end of the spring that's really sharp scraping along the bottom of this thing. Something nice and smooth I can still make contact would do. I don't know, but yeah, I thought you might want to see this. I wanted to wait a little bit just to see how much wear and tear has actually went onto this plate before I release this video. But yeah, that's it for this tree. Hopefully you guys do like the video. Please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.